Some projects just take longer to click with people, whether it's because they sound completely different or explore themes that take time to fully appreciate, and maybe sometimes they are just simply dropped at the wrong time. So over the years, plenty of albums have been overlooked or underrated, only for fans to later realise just how much they had to offer. Let's take a look at a few that didn't get the recognition they deserved. So I want to start off with The Weeknd's most underrated album, Kissland. Everyone already knows how much The Weeknd dominates the charts. From the Trilogy days to his latest releases, he's been untouchable. He's got the numbers and the mainstream hits that turned him into one of the biggest artists in the world. But honestly, I don't want to talk about all that. I want to talk about the album that didn't get the love it deserved when it dropped. When Kissland came out, a lot of people just weren't ready for it. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, which is solid, but compared to the success of his later albums, it felt overlooked. It didn't have the obvious radio hits or club bangers that would make it an instant commercial success. It wasn't designed to be catchy or easily digestible. Instead, it was dark, cinematic, and almost uncomfortable at times, and that's exactly why it's special. This album wasn't about making a hit record, it was about creating an experience. Listening to it feels like stepping into another world that's very eerie and a little bit lonely. It's the kind of album you don't just listen to in the background. You have to sit with it and really absorb it. Lyrically, it's probably one of The Weeknd's most honest and raw projects. He's not trying to be flashy or appeal to the masses. It's about fame, desire, isolation, and everything in between, but in a way that feels more personal than anything he had done before, and that's exactly how The Weeknd saw it. He said that Kissland was his most honest album, a reflection of his fears and anxieties as he navigated fame for the first time. He compared it to a horror movie, saying it was like an exaggerated version of his real experiences, both thrilling and terrifying. Looking back, I think Kissland was just ahead of its time. People weren't sure how to take it because it didn't fit neatly into any category. But for the fans who get it, this album is a masterpiece. It's one of those projects that ages like fine wine years later. If you haven't given Kissland a proper listen, then do yourself a favour. Play it from start to finish with no distractions, just vibes. I promise it's a journey, and honestly one of The Weeknd's best works. The next album that's criminally underrated definitely got to be Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which is Kendrick Lamar's most introspective and polarizing album. Right now, Kendrick is in a league of his own. He's got the classics and the respect of basically everyone in hip-hop, with GNX plus the Grammys and the Super Bowl. This man has single-handedly dominated 2024 and this year as well. But anyways, back when Kendrick released Mr. Morale, he had intentions of it being one that didn't set for the radio or the club. It wasn't designed to be an easy listening, but instead this album was like a therapy session, raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. And when this album dropped, it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard, which wasn't a surprise. But what was surprising was the reaction to it. Some fans expected another album like Damn, polished, hard-hitting, and packed with anthems. But instead, Kendrick gave us an album that felt more like a journal entry than a victory lap. It wasn't here to please anyone. It was about him working through his own demons in real time. And that's what made the album a very introspective one. Also, the production was stripped back at times and unsettling, with eerie piano loops and moments of spoken word that make it feel more like a stage play than a rap album. It jumps between deeply emotional storytelling and brutally honest confessions. Tracks like Father Time explore generational trauma, while We Cry Together is an intense, almost uncomfortable look at toxic relationships. Then you have moments like Mother I Sober, where Kendrick is at his most vulnerable, unpacking pain in a way that feels like we're listening in on his private therapy session. All in all, that's really what Mr. Morale is about. It was a deeply written and produced self-reflection. Kendrick isn't positioning himself as the voice of a generation here. He's not preaching. He's not offering easy answers. Instead, he's showing us a flawed, complicated version of himself, questioning everything he's been taught and everything he's believed. He even admits that he's not our savior. He's just a man trying to figure it out like everyone else. And this is one of the reasons why I love this album. It has a very relatable feeling to it and shows you how many of us are struggling with the same emotions and demons. It shows you that it is okay not to be okay. So even if it wasn't meant to be an instant classic, it's something people will sit with over time, revisiting when they're ready. I myself have been listening to this for the past month, and I got to say, it has become one of my favourites. Moving on, we have Tyler, the Creator. Tyler has evolved so much as an artist, going from his raw and rebellious early days to the refined and experimental sound he has now. But if we're talking about underrated albums, then Cherry Bomb is the one that deserves more appreciation. When Cherry Bomb first dropped in 2015, the reception was all over the place. Fans and critics were split. Some loved its chaotic, unfiltered energy, while others felt it was too noisy and unpolished. Compared to Wolf and Goblin, which had clearer narratives and more structured production, this album felt unpredictable and abrasive, and commercially, it didn't make a massive move either. It debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, which was solid, but it didn't have the staying power of his later releases. At the time, it seemed like more of a sidestep than a step forward in Tyler's career. But Cherry Bomb was crucial. This album was the bridge between the raw, rebellious Tyler and the more refined, musically ambitious artist he would become. You can hear the early stages of what would later evolve into Flower Boy, Igor, and even Call Me If You Get Lost. His willingness to experiment, it all started here. Even Tyler himself has been open about how much this album meant to him creatively. In interviews, he's mentioned how he wanted to challenge himself and push his production skills further. He didn't just want to rap over beats, he wanted to build something. He was inspired by artists like Pharrell and wanted to incorporate more live instrumentation and unpredictability into his music. The result was Cherry Bomb, an album that felt like controlled chaos where smooth melodic moments were constantly crashing into loud, distorted explosions of sounds. At the time, a lot of people didn't know what to make of it, but looking back, it's clear that Cherry Bomb was a necessary risk. Without this album, we wouldn't have gotten the polished, deeply emotional work that came after. It was Tyler breaking out of his old formula, experimenting with new ideas, and laying the groundwork for the artist he is today. So, if you haven't revisited Cherry Bomb in a while, or if you dismissed it back when it first dropped, give it another listen. You'll hear just how ahead of its time it really was. Finally, let's talk about Travis Scott. When most people think of Travis, they immediately think of Astroworld or Rodeo, and while those albums are incredible, the most underrated project in his catalogue has to be Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight. Birds in the Trap often gets overshadowed by Rodeo, but honestly, it's one of his most cohesive and well-executed albums. The production is top tier, the atmosphere is dark and immersive, and Travis blends melodies with his signature auto-tuned raps effortlessly. Tracks like Goosebump, Sweet Sweet, and First Take really showcase just how versatile Travis is as an artist. Goosebumps, of course, became a massive hit, but First Take is an incredibly smooth and introspective track that doesn't get the attention it deserves. The vibe of this album is unmatched. It feels like a nighttime drive through a futuristic city. One thing I really love about Birds in the Trap is how well it flows from start to finish. It's one of those albums that feels like it has a purpose with every song. It's cohesive and doesn't lose its vibe at any point. From the opening track to the final note, there's this dark, atmospheric energy that just pulls you in. It's one of those records you can put on, lean back, and just let it play all the way through without feeling the need to skip any tracks. Every song blends seamlessly into the next. And that's a rare thing in hip-hop, especially with an artist like Travis who's known for his versatility. What's crazy though, is that even after all of this, becoming one of the most streamed artists in the world, Travis still hasn't won a single Grammy. But honestly, that's beside the point. He's here to stay and will continue to drop amazing albums in the future. Not just him, but everyone on this list is an incredible creator, which is reflected in their success. Anyway, I just want to say thanks to everyone for watching this video. If you have any other rappers or artists you think have underrated albums that deserve more attention, drop them in the comments and we can discuss them. Until next time, have a great one.